Welcome to episode 11 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today I'm going to share some thoughts on how to keep teaching when your personal life is falling apart. Visit truthforteachers.com to get the transcript, links to recommended resources, or to leave a comment. Thank you so much for listening and for leaving your reviews on iTunes. I always tell you how much I appreciate the reviews that you all have left for the show, and I thought it would be cool to occasionally choose one of those reviews to read aloud here. So this one is from an iTunes user called MI Teacher, who wrote, "I love this podcast. Angela is so real and honest. She shares her experiences and makes you realize that you are 100% normal for how you feel. Teachers hear enough negativity day in and day out. Now, every Sunday, we get a small dose of encouragement to steer us back toward a positive mindset for the week ahead." Thank you, MI Teacher, for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I also want to thank this episode's sponsor, Snap Learning. Snap Learning is a provider of fantastic digital reading resources, including materials for close reading. You can get a free demo of the product at snaplearning.co. So this week, I wanted to talk about how to keep being an effective teacher during periods of deep personal loss or intense stress. For some reason, no one really talks about the fact that all teachers have times in our lives when we just aren't able to give 100% to the job. If you stick with this profession for any real length of time, you're going to experience low energy periods, and they might last for weeks or even months, such as when you're going through a divorce or if you're dealing with a family member's terminal illness. Maybe you're having difficulty getting or staying pregnant. Maybe you're about to foreclose on your house, or you found out that your spouse is cheating on you, or you're waiting for the results of a biopsy, or your child is in serious trouble. When you're in one of those situations and you're really going through a lot emotionally, you're not going to be the best version of yourself, and you're not going to be the teacher that you want to be. So you've got to come to terms with that and stop beating yourself up for not being this bubbling fountain of joy every day for your students. And for that matter, we've got to stop beating each other up for this too. I have to fit in a small little tangent here. Whenever people talk about lazy teachers or mean teachers or rude teachers, why is it that no one ever stops to ask, what is going on in that teacher's personal life? What is causing him or her to be unable to do a better job for those kids? In almost every instance I can think of, that so-called lazy teacher was a person who was dealing with long-term debilitating health issues, or caring for an ill spouse or an elderly parent, or experiencing some kind of deep financial hardship that was just all-consuming for them. I don't know anyone who intentionally does a poor job teaching and doesn't care about their students. They're just incredibly distracted and worn down and exhausted. When we see teachers who are ineffective, we really need to come alongside them and figure out what's going on and figure out how we can support them. So if that's you right now, if you're not doing the job that you wish you were doing for your students, would you show yourself some of that grace? Would you recognize that there is a real reason why you're not giving 100%? Would you acknowledge that you are a human being with emotional needs and physical limitations? Even if no one in your school acknowledges that, I'm acknowledging that because it's true, and I want you to acknowledge that as well. Now, these losses and hardships and periods of grief are not a license to do a halfway job of teaching your students. They are an opportunity to recognize that you're not at your best, to show yourself grace, and to plan ahead in order to minimize the impact on your students. I think of these periods of life as low energy seasons. Grief and pain and stress can be all-consuming. They drain your energy so that you don't have anything left to give in the classroom. So think about this whole situation from an energy management standpoint. You always have a finite amount of energy to give, and right now, you've got a lower amount than normal. So narrow your focus to what's truly most important and channel as much of your energy as possible into those aspects of your work. Cut out the extras and don't put pressure on yourself to go above and beyond in areas that don't really matter. Give yourself permission to do a little bit less by remembering that the situation is temporary. You will be able to work at the level you're accustomed to again. And in order to get to that level, you need to allow yourself a time of less pressure. Now, even though you might feel like you're on your own, you can't be afraid to reach out to others for support when you're in a low energy season of life. Drop the superhero syndrome, swallow your pride, and ask people for help. See if a colleague can pick up your students from lunch for you, or ask a team member if they can run off extra photocopies and gather lesson materials. You can return the favor when you're feeling better, so don't feel guilty about asking for help. And when other people offer to take responsibilities off of your plate, or if they ask if there's anything they can do, avoid that knee-jerk response to just say, "Oh, I'm okay, thanks so much." Have a prepared list of tasks ready that you can just delegate to other people and tell them, "Thank you so much for offering. I could really use your help with X, Y, or Z." I also highly recommend that you just level with your students about the fact that you're not at your best. Even the youngest kids can tell when we're just putting on an act, and they know when our hearts and minds aren't really with them. They don't know what's going on, but they know that something is wrong. So share as much as you're comfortable with. You could tell them you're feeling sad because someone in your family is very sick, or you could say that things are really hard for you right now at home, or if you don't even want to reveal that much, just say you're not feeling your best. Your students are going to relate to that. Trust me. Most of them are not frolicking in fields of daisies and riding pet unicorns. They know struggle and pain. And it's good for them to see that successful role models in their lives are also experiencing problems and persevering through them. So don't be afraid to reveal to your students that you are a person. You're a person just like them. And ask them directly for their support and cooperation. When you tell your students that you aren't feeling great for whatever reason, most of them are going to be eager to help take on some of your responsibilities. And you might even find that you were doing tasks that should have been turned over to them a long time ago. And trust them with more responsibilities. Let them know that their contributions are really needed in the classroom, now more than ever. And generally, they will rise to that occasion. And I've even found that a handful of kids will usually help out with reminders to the rest of the class. I've gone through a couple of low energy seasons in life, and a bunch of my kids were just fantastic about it. They'd help keep order in the classroom for me. They'd say, "Hey guys, be quiet. Mrs. Watson doesn't feel good, remember? Don't make her shout. Come on guys, don't argue. Just do it. Miss Watson is counting on us." You'll have kids in your class that say that stuff too, and it will just make your heart sing during moments like this when you're just not feeling great. Grab onto those moments and let them motivate you to keep going. That's really, really important because in addition to managing your energy, you've also got to do things that replenish your energy level. Energy is not like time. You don't wake up every day with more of it. You have to choose to do things that replenish energy. Things like sleeping and resting, eating healthy foods, exercising, all these things that we tell ourselves we don't have time to do, especially when we're in a low energy period because of all the stress. But there's a reason why people keep telling you to take care of yourself. You keep telling them you can't because you have to take care of everyone and everything else. And you're saying that as if taking care of yourself is a selfish endeavor. But caring for yourself is the least selfish thing you can do. Because when you take care of yourself, you're giving the best gift you could ever give your family, the best gift you could ever give yourself, the happiest and healthiest version of you. That's what your students really want and need too, a healthy, happy teacher. You owe it to them and yourself to pursue that. Now here's your takeaway truth for the week ahead. It's an anonymous quote. And it says, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. You are strong and you can get through this, whatever it is that you're facing. Head over to truthforteachers.com if you want to talk more about this topic in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, I'm not telling you that it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.